let's hop into our student panel section. We'll have each one of our panelists introduce themselves. For all of our panelists, please let us know your major, your minor, and then something that you're involved with on campus. Devin, we are going to start with you as the oldest man on our panel.
All right, perfect. All right, hello everybody. My name is Devin Rogers, and I am a graduating senior, double majoring in sports management and marketing. A couple of things that I'm involved in right now. I am one of the lead ambassadors within the Hamline Undergraduate Admissions Department, and I'm a part of an organization on campus known as the Student Athlete Advisory Committee as well.
Excellent. Jesse, then we'll go to you as the next oldest.
All right, my name is Jessie. I'm a sophomore here. I'm a double major in political science with an emphasis in international and regional security, as well as global studies with an emphasis in economy and development. I'm involved on campus as a student ambassador for undergraduate admissions. I'm a university honors member. I'm the philanthropy chair for the Residential Housing Association Executive Board. I'm the Economic Affairs Committee Chair for Student Congress Executive Board, and then I'm on the Executive Board for a multicultural organization called Fusion. And then finally, I'm a delegate for the Model United Nations team, so quite a lot of stuff. If you have questions about extracurriculars, just let us know because I'm in it or know someone that's in it.
Missed the opportunity to ask you to do that 5 times fast. Then we have Aurora.
Hi, I'm Aurora. I'm a first year at Hamline. I work in the admissions office as a student ambassador, and I run cross country and track for Hamline. I'm a mathematics and computational data science major with a Spanish minor.
Love it. Mohammed, we'll have you go next.
My name is Mohammed Yassin. I'm one of the international students on campus. From Israel, Palestine. I am a part of many departments on campus. I'm in the exec board of Global Student Society, as well as I work in the School of Education as a student associate, and I work in Global Engagement Center. As I also work as undergraduate admission, and I am with Jesse in the MUN club. I also ran some track and field, so I know some about sports. And added to that, I am double majoring in neuroscience and computational data science with a minor in public health. So I'm all over this place. If you have any questions about that, please feel free to
ask. And finally, Julie, please tell us who you are.
I'm Julie. I'm a first year. I am co-majoring in elementary education and communications with a minor in digital media arts. I'm on the swim team. I work at the undergraduate admissions office. Yeah.
Excellent. Since I did mention before, both Aurora, Mohammed, and Julie are all first-year students, so they are a lot closer to what was it like to actually start the whole college search process than the rest of us, who are much more wizened and old now. So let's go ahead. I'll have Julie, you answer our very first question for today, which is, why did you choose Hamline, and are you still happy with the choice you've made?
Yeah, so I'm from California, so moving to Minnesota was quite the change. I chose Hamline because immediately when I walked into the admissions office, I felt welcomed, and I have continued to feel welcomed this whole entire year. I really love the community on campus. Especially within the athletics community, but the community overall is fantastic. Professors are all super personal because of the small class sizes, which is one of the things that drew me to Hamline. I've really gotten to know my professors, which I really love, especially with everything going on right now. The personal touch at Hamline with all the professors is fantastic. Yeah, I love it.
Mohammed, to you next.
Thank you, Corbin, for the question. I think for me, it was a completely different experience than a lot of you guys when it comes out to choosing a college, as I never visited Hamline, and the farthest thing to imagining Hamline was through the virtual tours and through photos and videos from YouTube. I think I was very drawn to the social justice advocacy and diversity aspect of Hamline. I think it was very well projected on the website, and I developed a really good relationship with my admission counselor, who walked with me step by step from the beginning towards the end of my admission. And I think that was something crucial that I really appreciated, the one-on-one relationships from the admission team, that in order for me to come to the United States. And beside that, I enjoyed the idea, or kind of wanted a small campus, small sizes to have those one-on-one like interactions with professors, and I didn't want to just be a number in a class in comparison to bigger institutions. More so, I wanted to be in a closer tied community, and I think that's why I chose Hamline and decided to come here.
Aurora, next to you.
I think the main reason I chose Hamline was similar to Julie. Like the moment I was on campus, I felt really welcomed, and like everyone was so friendly. My tour guide would like wave to their friends who were walking by. Like it seemed like everyone knew each other. It was a small community. I come from a really small town of like 5,000 people, so my graduating class was 100. So like I wanted to go to a smaller school, but in a big city. So like I got out of my hometown, and I get the big city experience while still like being part of a smaller, tight-knit community. So that was like, it was just instant, an instant draw for me.
It's a connection.
Yeah.
Second to last, Jesse.
Following the thematic track, I think a big reason I chose Hamline is because it is a smaller campus. And that means like smaller class sizes and better able to communicate with the professor. But what it doesn't mean is there's a lack of diversity, because there's so many different places to be and so many different student organizations and groups, which is something that really drew me in, as well as it had everything I wanted in regards to academics. The honors programs are pretty strong. My department is pretty strong, as well as concentrations, which I thought was super cool because then I could like focus in on something specific. And yeah, there's just a lot of extracurriculars and orgs I was interested in too. And then like Aurora said, being able to have a tight knit community, but also the city is like right next door. So if you ever want to be, you know, a city person, then by all means you can go do that, which is something that I really liked. And yes, I'm still happy with my choice of choosing Hamline.
All right, Devin, I'm going to switch this question up just a little bit for you, since you have exactly one more class before you are considered a fully graduated college student. So, you know, tell us a little bit about like what the college journey has been like so far for you, and then tell us, you know, be honest and tell us, was this all worth it?
Yeah, for sure. So just like Julie, I also am from California. So it was a big, you know, jump from coming from California and coming out to Minnesota. But I would say the process is full of a lot of opportunities. And I throw that out there because throughout the process, you get yourself, you know, engaged in stuff on campus. So that's why I ended up joining organizations like SAC. And then really what that kind of leads me to is like being able to attend stuff like the NCAA convention that I went to last year. That doesn't happen if I don't come to Hamline. And that was, you know, something that really got me, you know, connected with a lot of people, got me in the kind of networking field, just to get to know a lot of people in the industry I really want to get myself into. And then also different internship opportunities that I've been able to put myself into while I've been a student at Hamline. So I would definitely say to this day, yeah, it's been very worth it being a student at Hamline, all while, you know, being on the baseball team, and just kind of, like I said, opening up a lot of doors, a lot of opportunities, just to kind of piggyback off what everybody else has been talking about, the small, tight-knit community. That's something that you don't really get anywhere else, because everybody kind of is in it for each other, you know, like we want everybody to be successful, not just ourselves. And that's something that as a senior that I can really attest to, is that, you know, even the people on this panel that you see right now, like everybody wants everybody to be successful, and we'll do everything in our power to help the next person get to that place too. So it's been awesome, and I'm gonna miss it once I'm gone. So
All right, so you talked a little bit about athletics,
Mhm.
and also for the record, I'm gonna miss you when you're gone. But so you talked a little bit about athletics. So Devin, Aurora, Julie, feel free to hop in whichever order that you like. But can you tell us about how you have split your time up between school, working in the admissions office, and like athletics, or I guess working wherever?
I'm gonna let Julie and Aurora start this off, just because they are a little bit closer to all the students that are on this panel. And then I'll just throw anything in if I need to at the end. So.
All right, throwing them to the wolves. Very good.
I'll go first, Julie, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I had a little bit of a more unique experience with joining athletics at Hamline. I started my first semester at Hamline not doing sports. I had been talking to the cross country coach for about a year before I actually came to Hamline. But I just like, it didn't seem like it was going to be right for me. I thought it was going to be too much of a time commitment because I knew I would be working and I really wanted to focus on classes. But I found that I was still like running on my own, and I was still working out. I was still like setting aside designated time to exercise. And like, I figured, why not do it like with people who like share the same goals I do, like who also love to run. And I had met some of the girls on the team and I really liked them. So I reached out to the coach, and starting a little before my second semester at Hamline, I started practicing with the team. And the time commitment was like minimal, like well, not minimal, but like it's easy to plan your day around practice. And like one thing about D3 athletics is that like academics comes first, but like there's still a lot of emphasis on like, you're going to try your hardest with D3. Like it's still a sport. You're still competing your bet like to your highest level. But your coaches know that you're there as a student.
Julie, I know the swim season wrapped up just a little bit before, back in February, as a former member of the team. So tell us about it.
So I absolutely loved being a part of the swim team this year. It's like an instant family when you join a sports team. So I loved that. But I will be completely honest, coming to college and having a whole bunch more free time didn't go the greatest for me. I had to learn kind of the hard way that you can do anything, but not everything. I found myself, I was going to swim practice, I was doing schoolwork, and then I was like trying to go to like every little thing that was happening on campus. And that just, I was like, it's not going well doing everything. So I had to really learn time management because I was procrastinating a lot. But as soon as I figured it out, everything was smooth sailing from there. My second semester has gone a lot better. But yeah, love being a part of athletics. It's not, I would say kind of like what Aurora said, the time commitment isn't overwhelming. You just have to learn how to manage your time and adjust. But yeah, it's a super fun time. Yeah.
We're going to come back to that question because I watched both Jesse and Mohammed nod their heads really strongly about time management and being overly involved. And we both know how involved both of you were. But Devin, go ahead and finish out the question first for now.
Yeah, for sure. So I just want to kind of talk about something Julie had mentioned. So you do have a lot more time, and I think people will kind of forget about that once they come to college. They'll kind of think, oh, being in college, you will have no time to do anything. No, you have all the time in the world to do anything because you get to kind of set your own schedule. So the way it kind of helps me out, and it helps a lot of athletes out, is like we balance our schedule from our practices and our games and everything like that. So a lot of times we're advised to, push all of our classes earlier in the day so we can get them out of the way, have more time to catch up on homework throughout the rest of the day, get something to eat because, sometimes we forget to even do the little things like eating. So trying to just kind of do a lot of those stuff just to make sure that, we're staying healthy all while maintaining our practice and everything like that. That's something that I'll kind of add is like we get to really, make our own schedules based around what is already going on. And that's something that every student gets to do, no matter if you're a student athlete or not, because everybody is busy in their own lives, in their own ways. But yeah, I mean, it's just really nice that you get to kind of just balance out your schedule to fit to your needs and your wants. And that's something that's always kind of helped myself out along the way. And I mean, I don't know how it's going to be once I really become an adult in the workforce, but as a college student, that was something that really helped me out, just being able to balance out my schedule the way I want it to be. So for sure.
All right. Like I said, we were going to put a pin on it. Now we're pulling that pin back out. We'll start with Jesse and then we'll go to Mohammed. So tell us about how, since again, we know how involved the two of you have been over the course of this last semester, overly so. So tell us how you managed, tell us more in detail about what you were involved in and then how did you manage that?
I'll start off. I was involved in a lot. So like I said, 3 executive boards and an org. And the hardest thing that's not the normal, guys, just to let you know, that is not an expectation of you. Please do not try and do that, especially in your first year. Learn your limits. And with that, I think learn how to say no to things and not feel bad. Particularly social interactions with friends. They'll be like, hey, you want to go grab lunch with me? Or hey, you want to hang out and have a movie night? Stuff like that. You're at college to like primarily get a good education. So saying no to things like that and not feeling bad, I think is really important. And then communicating your needs too. That's something that took me a little bit to learn, especially because in high school, my AP teachers were pretty strict on deadlines and things like that. But in college, a lot of my professors have been really understanding and if I communicate my needs. So saying, for example, hey, this essay's due in 3 days, but I know I won't have the time to put in to make it my quality work. Can I have a day extension? And like asking ahead of time and thinking and foresight. And then also Google Calendar. Oh my gosh, if you come to Hamline, that is your best scheduling tool. Keeping everything tracked like that so you don't miss appointments and stuff. And know your limits. Like I said, not being involved in multiple orgs is not for everyone. So unless you I'd say start off easy, start off slow, you know? Mohammed, what do you think?
Piggybacking off what Jesse said, Google Calendar has been my best friend since the beginning of the year. Like all of my colleagues at the office saw how crazy my Google Calendar was. I went above and beyond when it comes out to participating in a lot of the student organizations and exec boards. And I did track and field at some point, and I had 5 classes on my plate, and it was just I was completely busy that I had no time to breathe. Like I would time my lunch, time my breakfast. And let me tell you, it's not necessarily the healthiest. I feel like going on to your first semester, it's good to be active, but be active within your own limits. And I think like trying to navigate what you want and what you need and where do you see yourself happy and thriving the most is like that's where to prioritize. I was navigating academics in like a third language, so that was also something that I would, with the excessive amount of organizations I was involved in, I was working 3 jobs, so it was a lot to take in. And I mean, I finished my first semester well, but moving to the second semester, I realized that I need to prioritize. I need to, push stuff away. I need to communicate my needs to my bosses and communicate that what I am doing and what I am taking. And I think, it's very very similar to what Jesse said, communicate to your professors, communicate to your bosses. Don't feel bad if you're opting or like taking a break of a executive board. Like, or in my experience, I committed, but I was like, I'm not going to be able to do my best work if I continue being a part of the Global Student Society as an exec member. Therefore, I backed out. So, I think it just like find what you're interested in, and it's important to say no to stuff that you don't want to participate in. But like college is where I found friends for the rest of my life, even like across the nation. And I think a lot of those friendships developed in the first semester just because and a lot of the friendship developed and went away. So I think focus on being a good academic, but also trying to find your social circle within the small knit community. I think that's very valuable and very important. But yeah, Google Calendar, download that before you go to college.
It's all giggle about Google Calendar, but again, freshman you was a very different person. Okay, so Mohammed, Julie, Devin, you guys are all our non-Midwestern natives here. So tell us about what was it like getting involved and making it feel like you actually belonged, is probably the most direct way to ask. How did you what did you do to help make yourself feel belonged, and then what helped you get tied into the community?
I guess I can start this one off. So yeah, like I mentioned, coming from Southern California, the weather is a lot hotter out there in the winters compared to the winters out here. But yeah, you mentioned just belonging and everything. I would just say it's the community that you find yourself in, and we say community a lot. The campus itself is a community, but I'm talking about the community as far as your social friends, your close-knit group of friends that you do find. And the way I found that in my first year was pretty much just through my dorm. I mean, the people that I live next to every day, you see them basically 24/7 at that point. So that's a group of friends that you really develop, and you get to develop along the way. I'm still friends with the majority of them even to this day, and will be for the rest of our lives. So that's something that's really cool, something that we get to kind of look forward to as well. But yeah, I mean, everybody is very welcoming in Minnesota compared to California. And that's just the cold hard truth. I mean, Julie, you could probably attest to this one a little bit, but
Yep.
Californians aren't the most welcoming people. Minnesotans are, like the whole Minnesota nice thing. It's a fact. It's real. And I felt like I was welcomed as soon as I stepped foot onto campus. I mean, as soon as I started to meet new people, the baseball team was definitely a very welcoming environment. Organizations that I've joined all have been very welcoming environments. So it's not really hard to get yourself out there and get to know people, because everybody's going to do what they can to try to get to know you before you could try to get to know them. So that's something that's been pretty cool from my experiences. I don't want to take all the answers away from Julie and Mohammed, but I just know, like, for me, it's just been the people that I've gotten to know along the way. They've just been so helpful to getting me accustomed to what Minnesota is like, the culture out here. I mean, it's a little different than California, but it hasn't been hard to adapt to because of what they've been able to do for me. So,
Julie, do you want to
Yeah,
go?
okay, I can go. Yeah, I'll go. So I think for me, kind of what helped me to get like accustomed and meet people. So I got really lucky and I hit it off with my roommate. I love my roommate. She's one of my best friends. But one thing that was kind of cool is that like the people down the hall we became friends with, and then they would have friends in their dorm, and then you would get to meet those people. And making connections through other people was super fun. Or like, for example, the swim team usually eats dinner together. So then just people would come up and say hi to other people on the team, but they would like introduce themselves, and then you introduce yourself, and then you kind of get talking. You're like, oh, what's your Snapchat? So just kind of meeting people like when you go places. So when you're in like Anderson eating or just walking, yeah, that's I think how I met Mohammed. Like Gabby, my roommate, was talking to him. So just cool things like that. Swim team was really a big part. For me, one of the things that was most helpful and like making friends and stuff was I really needed winter advice, because like I had no clue. Like winter coat, scarves, jacket. Yeah, I had nothing. I got off the plane in flip-flops. Like, yikes. So just kind of like asking people like, oh, like, do you have any good winter advice was really like a good icebreaker for me. But just things like that.
I I follow what Julie said. I came from the Middle East where we have 80s and 90s, and the coldest it gets in the winter is 50s and 60s. So, adjusting to the Minnesota weather was not the most ideal for me. And definitely, I agree. Like, I was like, I am cold and it's 70 outside. So it's not, I don't like that. And I also came with flip flops and shorts and tank tops, and I got all my winter gear on the from I spent my first month on Amazon, and it was the only person they saw in the mailroom. But I think it's a big adjustment for me. There was a lot of multi layers. I mean, you're trying to fit into college, but you're also trying to fit into a different culture. So I think that's a little bit different than Devin, Julie, and Aurora, where like I am adjusting to an American culture as well, and that asset was completely different for me because I was trying to make sure that I'm not saying anything that would offend someone. And I think those allowed me to navigate a lot of my conversations, because I'll be like, okay, I want to say this, but I don't know. And I think also humor and being who you are and authentically true to yourself in a lot of the social circles that sit on campus allow you to fit in no matter where you come from. I mean, we're all like Gen Z or millennials or whatever like determination, where we all share the same common, the same common jokes. And I think that's very helpful in trying to fit in within the Hamline community. Everyone is so welcoming and loving and helpful. And I add to Devin and Julie, the dorm. I mean, a lot of the people who live in my floor were very friendly and very nice. I came close to my RA. I had a roommate from Iowa, which I did not know where Iowa was, but we hit it off, and it was a great experience. So I think when you're trying to find your room and classes, I was, yes, I'm doing neuroscience, but I took classes outside of my major to allow myself to meet people with different interests and different backgrounds. And my best friends I met in my sociology class, and I know they're going to be my best friends for life. So allow yourself to get out of your comfort zone and explore different, classes and different student organizations, because you never know, that you might meet some of your closest friends.
All right, and not to leave Aurora or Jesse out of this, just because you guys are a lot closer, doesn't mean that you weren't maybe a little nervous on your first couple of days. So what made you guys feel like you were joining the community?
For me, at least, I think there was solace in the fact that everybody was looking for somebody. Um, it was like, everyone was there to make friends. Like there are people who are like shaking hands and stuff, and that's when I felt like a real college student. I'm like, oh my god, this is what adults do. But I think just like recognizing that everyone wants to make friends and that finding people with similar interests is really important too. Also, it's not like your first semester is the be all end all, I think I met a lot of people later too throughout classes, like my second semester classes or even my second year that I really felt I vibed well with. And then again, I lived on campus my first year. My second year now, I rent a house off campus, but I'm still pretty close. But my first year, it was definitely living on campus that helped. I live with, oh my gosh, yeah, all of my roommates were on the same floor I was my first year. And so I think it's just like recognizing that there is absolutely no pressure to try and make your best friend right off the bat, and that everyone is in the same boat as you, and that everyone is trying to make friends as well, really gave me solace and kind of helped me fit in well. Aurora, what do you think?
So for me, I came to Hamlin, I was so ready to meet people, and like I'm very much a people person, so I would just walk up to people and like if I knew of them or knew them and say like, hey, I follow you on Instagram, like I'm Aurora, hi. And like usually that like we'd hit it off and like start a snap streak or something, and like I'd say hi to them when I saw them on campus. But another thing that really helps me to meet people was like summer orientation, which I'm very sad because that's happening virtually this summer. But like summer orientation for me, I met so many people, and then like I had those friends already when I then came to Hamlin, and like those friends had met people, and so like then those people became my friends, and it was like I was kind of like adopted into like a big group of people who had like this like web of like connections, and we just like all became friends. And then when I joined the cross country team later on, like they were super welcoming, so I like all of a sudden I had like two different groups of like friends. And then like when I started a job at admissions, like all of a sudden I had all these new people. So like it's really hard not to meet people, it's really hard not to make friends, because everyone is looking to make connections, and everyone is looking to like find their friends who are going to be their friends for life. Like everyone's in the same boat, and just is a very positive experience, and it continues to be.
Sweet. Love it. So I believe all of you have mentioned at least living in the dorms at least once. That's always a really intimidating moment for, I think, where most people going, except for you, Aurora. You're a true extrovert. You're all in on this. But so tell us first about like what was it like? Well, I guess honestly, first picking a roommate, and then tell us about what your very first year living on campus was like. Let's start with Aurora, since you went last time, so we'll start from the.
Sounds good. So for me, I found my roommate through the class of 2023 Facebook page. I had like commented on one of her posts in the like Facebook page about something we had in common, and then we just like got to chatting, and we met up once over the summer, and that was it. Like we decided, we're gonna be roommates. Like we lived similarly, like we went to bed at the same time, stuff like that. And it ended up being a really good experience. We weren't best friends. We didn't really hang out a lot outside of our dorm room, but that was okay for us. Like we both had other friends, and we knew that like we had each other, if we needed to rant about something, or like if we needed to like have a just like nice calm night in the dorm. So it was a really good experience for me.
Let's see. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I think I made eye contact with Mohammed first, so you're up.
As I mentioned, my roommate is from Iowa, so I did not necessarily know much about much about Iowa Midwest or how the process goes. And I was one of the, I think the process was choosing him. He reached out to me. Sorry, there was something outside, but like he reached out to me on Facebook, and he told me like we both were interested in doing neuroscience, and he seemed cool. We met only once via FaceTime, and we agreed to be roommates. And I think at the beginning, you know, I'm gonna be as honest and thorough. It's no matter how close you are or if you meet them before or not, it's gonna be that some sort of adjustment because you're living in a small space. We're trying to navigate each other needs, each other wills. And I think, you know, communication was very big on my part. Therefore, I communicated my needs and I asked him to communicate his. And I think I lived in Soren and, you know, Soren Hall. So we got to meet a lot of people who are living on the floor. We were never best friends because we had different personalities and but we shared similar classes. And as Aurora mentioned, we would sometimes sit and talk about stuff that is bothering us or how much chem lab was, how long was chem lab and stuff like that. And I will always respect him, but moving on to next year, I'm going to be staying on campus, yet we chose and communicated not living together. So it's not an at all be all. Eventually, as long as you build that good relationship with your roommate, and you know you can always find them in different platforms, and I think it's all what it needs. It's healthy living. It doesn't necessarily need to be your best friend living with you. Sometimes that could be, that could be worse. So I think it worked out perfectly, and it will work out for you, no matter who you choose. So
who's next? Will be you, Jesse? Will be you, Julie? Or should we finally let Devin out?
I mean, I can go. Yeah, I'll go real quick. So with mine, I mean, some coaches, the way they do it is they pair you up with somebody that's on your team. So for me, I was automatically paired up with one of my first year teammates that year. And it worked out really well. I mean, my coach, he was really good at putting roommates together. I don't know how he did it. But him and I are really, really close even to this day. He's downstairs in my house right now, waiting for me to get off the call right now, actually. But yeah, I mean, him and I are still, like I said, we're really close. He helped me get accustomed to how Minnesota is because he's from Minnesota as well, too. That might be the reason why my coach paired me up with him as well. But honestly, in the entire process of looking for a roommate, we do have that roommate finder app that everybody's going to be able to utilize to try and find roommates. And on that one, even though I automatically was paired up with somebody, people were still able to reach out to me and, just to try to get to know me. I felt really bad that I had to say, sorry, I already have a roommate. So technically I had to reject them. But one person from there that actually tried requesting me, we ended up just having a conversation and I'm like, this guy's kind of cool. And so even to this day, right now as seniors about to graduate, we're still friends. So, I mean, you just really never know who you're going to come across. And he ended up living right down the hall from me anyway. So it was pretty cool that we were able to see each other pretty often. But yeah, I mean, the experience for me was really cool. Getting to know somebody. It wasn't nerve-wracking for me just because I was like, yeah, I mean, somebody I'm going to have to live with anyway, so we'll see how it goes. And it ended up working out for the best. So it was just kind of how I approached it. I just approached it knowing that I was going to have a good experience with this person. So definitely. Jesse, what about you?
Ooh, got
Got it. I have an unconventional roommate story because I knew my roommate from high school. She was someone who I knew of, and we had talked, and we were friends, but not, best friends, which I would not recommend moving in with your best friend. I feel like that's a pretty universal piece of advice, but luckily we were just friends. And so moving in with her was really nice because a big piece is being able to communicate with your roommate. Granted, I do know a lot of people who use the roommate finder. I feel like from my experience, that's how I'd say most people meet their roommates. But I had a good time. It was really nice. We split the room in half, so it was your space, my space type of shtick. And I live with her in a house now too. So, we got along fine enough that we could live in a room together so we can live in a house together. Overall, I really liked my on-campus living experience. I think it was fundamental to my college experience. I got involved in hall council, which you can do through the Residential Housing Association. And so that made me feel a lot more in tune with people because there's a group of 3 other people and we're working together to plan events for our halls. So through that, I met other people, and then I also met the people who were coming to events and stuff like that. And I chose to be on the executive board for that too. So obviously on-campus culture is something that's pretty important to me. Overall, I had a great time. If you can and are able to, I would suggest living on campus for your first year. But if you're not, don't sweat it. I'm a commuter and I'm still very involved. But yeah, that was my on-campus living experience. And then Julie.
So I have an interesting kind of story. I had a roommate who I was supposed to room with this one girl, and then I was kind of getting like interesting vibes. Like she was like, oh, well, maybe I should just live alone. So I was like, oh, so I ended up being, and we were supposed to be teammates, so she was gonna be on the swim team. So I was like, oh, we're already gonna be spending time together. So I ended up saying like, hey, like I think we should still be friends, but I think we should like maybe try and find other roommates. Um, so I ended up having like I had said I was gonna room with her, and then I didn't. And then I met the roommate that I had this year. And we really just like connected, like the way we lived, like going to bed at 3 a.m. Our room was okay, we called it organized chaos. It was a mess, but we called it organized chaos. Like we just really like clicked. But it was a happy ending because the girl who I was supposed to room with this year, I'm now living in an apartment with her for next year. So it all worked out. But yeah.
No, I love that. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about living on campus. So here's a quick rapid fire question. Best meal on campus?
Ooh. I'm gonna let the first year students on this one take that because you guys are closer to the food all the time. So
And, they once had shrimp pasta, and I really enjoyed that. And they have a lot of Thai and Asian food, and I'm a big fan of Asian food, so I think I enjoyed those dinners very much. But yeah, I don't eat pizza, but a lot of people enjoyed the pizza as well.
For me, I thought that they made a killer butternut squash risotto. Huge fan. It's so creamy and so good. Every time they had it, I had like a huge bowl of it.
Okay.
Thinking.
Yes, you had
go
for
I
it.
know. I really like at lunch, they usually have like when they have like I'm trying to think of what you call it. They have like it's made to order. Is that the right thing? But they have like different things there. But one time they had mac and cheese with like bacon and green onions, and that was really good. Yeah.
Also, if you like oatmeal raisin cookies, they have very good oatmeal raisin cookies. I understand that's an unpopular opinion, but oh, so good.
I'm a vegan, so I have a fair amount of dietary restriction. And honestly, I was kind of scared a little bit coming in and eating in a dining hall. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be eating lettuce the whole day, every day. Luckily, that did not happen. They always have vegan options. They always sandwich bars, salads bars, really good. They had a vegan pad thai with fake chicken. And normally, I'm not a fan of fake chicken. It was so good. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, is this vegan? You know, because it was like buttery. It felt buttery. It was like oily and good and unhealthy for you. And I was living my best life.
I'll add to that, Jesse, too. So like Hamlin does a really good job of, helping everybody out if they have any sort of dietary restrictions. And so they always have vegetarian options, vegan options, and they have those out every day. And at first when I saw vegan tacos, I'm like, that's interesting. Like, am I going to get the same taste, the same quality? And I tried it, and let me tell you, I was eating vegan tacos all the time. Like, they were good. They were really good. So I would say that's personally one of my favorites every time I went in there. But at the same time, I was always looking forward to Tuesdays and Thursdays because at lunch, they always had chicken patties out. And for me, I love the chicken patties that they had. I could dip it in some barbecue sauce. And if they had some barbecue chicken out that day too, I was really going out on a barbecue binge that day. So I was really feeling good those days. So yeah.
Dying.
I'm just being honest.
I'm dying. It was beautiful. That's a true athlete's response. All right. So we have a just over 10 minutes left. So I will ask another good rapid fire question. which is how did you guys settle on your majors? And by rapid fire, I mean like this is one really in-depth hard question. So fortunately, I'm going to throw this at Devin to give everybody a moment to think about it first. So Devin, as an old man, what
Yeah,
made it happen?
yeah, for sure. So I knew coming into Hamlin, I wanted to be a sports management major, and the main reason was because of my career aspirations. I've always kind of dreamed of being like a sports agent. And so because of that, I kind of looked into what, sports agents do as far as in their undergrad and their grad tracks. So I was kind of mapping it out, before I even stepped foot onto a college campus. And so sports management was a way to go for me. But as I continued throughout, my process of being a student, I was like, I think I need to throw something else in the mix as well, too. So marketing wasn't even the original plan for me, but I ended up double majoring with marketing because sports management and marketing, once you really take classes like that, they go hand in hand with each other very well. And then you kind of start to notice that once you take different internships, you start to notice like if you're in a management internship, there's marketing that's attached to that. Or if you're in a marketing internship, there's management stuff that's attached to that. So if you were really just able to get the best of both worlds, you should really do something like that. So that's why I was, able to do that. But then after I graduate, working for a few years, my goal was to go back to school and end up getting my master's in communications. So that was always just a plan for me. I kind of knew exactly how I wanted to map it out. But I know it's different for people. Some people come in undeclared. Some people have an idea and then they change it as they go along. So it's just kind of like if you have an idea, kind of stick with it until you have a different idea, I guess. So yeah, that's what helped me out to choose that major.
All right. Jesse or Mohammed? Because I know the two of you have interesting answers, or will have interesting answers.
Mohammed, take it away.
Okay, so I think for me, like choosing a major has a very, very distinct story. And like my story you don't need to have a similar story, but I was volunteering in a refugee camp somewhere in Europe. And, I worked with kids who had different mental disorders. And because of that experience working with different social workers, psychologists, and psychiatrists, I decided to do neuroscience. And when I first applied a year prior to me committing to Hamlin, I said I'm interested in doing poli-sci and global studies. And, then I was like, oh, maybe I could do neuroscience pre-med. So like, I just want to say it's completely normal to be like, okay, I think I want to do this, but like, at the same time being like, okay, I'm not sure if I want to do this. And you take a class and you suddenly fall in love, which was me first semester. When I took sociology, I was like, okay, I don't think I want to do neuroscience anymore. I want to do like sociology. But I think that my personal experience, along with my interest in biology and psychology and like my interest in human behavior, all came together into the neuroscience major, which is a fairly new major, along with my other double major, which is data science. They're both very new and they open a lot of doors for you. So I wanted to, I like graduating from an American university, I wanted to make sure that I'm laying a foundation for myself in a big range of subjects that interest me. I'm interested also in programming and I'm interested in math. So having that kind of neuroscience, data science combinations, of working with both of my advisors who like each department, I figured out that that's what I want to be, that's what I want to do moving forward. And then with my minor in public health, which hasn't been declared yet, but I'm planning on doing so, it's because I've been really fascinated what's been going on recently. And a lot of the, you might find yourself doing 3 or 4 minors or 2 minors or a major and a minor, because a lot of the different majors at Hamlin intersect, and you can find a lot of information about the different majors and minors on the Hamlin website. And that's how I learned. So, by doing some neuroscience classes, I could fulfill a lot of the requirements for the minor. That's why I want to do public health. So, I mean, each and every week, it's okay not to know what you want, and it's okay not to know what you want to major. Like I'm as a freshman, I declared, and I know going on what I want to do. But I have friends who took classes like such as calculus, marketing, and physics, and those are completely not related. But they're trying to find their niche, and it's okay to find your niche through the first year. You don't need to rush into being like, I want to be sports management or neuroscience. And I think that's something I should have, even though I'm very content and happy and moving forward, it's going to be amazing with 2 of my majors. But sometimes I'm like, what if I didn't know what I wanted to do? What would I have ended up doing? So yeah, I'll shoot it back to Jesse to hear your answer.
Yeah. So like I said, I'm a double major. I always knew I wanted to do political science because I was a full-on speech debate, kid. I was like one of those people in high school. And so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go into college wanting to do poli-sci. And like I said before, the concentrations really appealed to me that Hamline has. And so I was like, okay, I vibe with this. And then that's how I found my second major, which is global studies. Which I was like, initially I was like, okay, same thing. But then as I took more poli-sci and global studies classes, I realized the difference and like the idea of globalization. And so I think it was taking classes in my major that I found other things that were not part of my major that I was like, oh, that seems kind of interesting. I'll take a global studies class. And so then I ended up declaring there. And as someone who, in all honesty, I was worried because I'm like, okay, what applicable skills do people think when they think political science and global studies double major? But it's not all about the name. It's about the skills you learn along the way is something that was really important to me because I was like, oh my gosh, I need to major in economics if I ever want to do something in a research capacity at the UN, which is what I want to do ultimately. I was like, I need something applicable, statistics. I'm awful at math. But I think finding comfort in the fact that you're gaining skills no matter what the title of your major is. It's about what makes you happy and what makes you want to learn things. And so that's how I picked my major is I stumbled upon my second major. I knew my first one coming in. But like everyone has said, your first year, I think take time to figure out what you really want to do. The first semester of college, every class you take will fulfill some sort of requirement. So I think that's important too to know is that like your first year, since it's a liberal arts education, which means like different requirements and different well-rounded aspects, you will fulfill some part of it. So you're not wasting your first year by not declaring a major. And those things brought me a lot of comfort.
All right. Before Aurora or Julie go, since you guys are our youngest kids, and also the ones that aren't running around with 3 majors and 4 minors, what have you guys declared your major, or do you just feel confident that this is the major that you have chosen as the direction you're going to go in for now?
Do you want to go, Aurora?
Yeah, I have declared my 2 majors and my minor. And so I'm mathematics and computational data science with a minor in Spanish. And I came to Hamline kind of knowing I wanted to do something with math. I thought maybe I would do math and biology or math and Spanish, like only those. So I was taking some math classes, taking some Spanish classes, and I took my first semester an intro to programming class. And I just I loved it. It was like a big puzzle you had to solve. And my math brain loved that. So I thought I'd take another, it was, what was it? Intro to Computational Data Science, my second semester, just to see if that was something I wanted to continue doing or not. I was pretty sure I wanted to continue with math. But yeah, by halfway through the semester, I decided to add on a computational data science major. And it pairs really well with math. It's designed to be paired with other majors. Not only math, but literally any major. It works really well with. So it just ended up being a good fit for me, and it is something that's in really high demand right now. Programmers and data science it's huge right now. So and it's interesting to me. So yeah, I guess.
Cool.
All right. So I came to Hamline wanting to be a communications major. I took my first communications class and I was like, oh no, I don't know if this is what I want to do. But I was also taking education classes. So I was like, oh, maybe I want to do education. And with the Hamline education program, your either first or second semester, you'll probably be inside a classroom. So I was thrown inside a 3rd grade classroom, and I loved it. So I officially declared that I'm an elementary educations major, but you have to have a co-major with that because you're taking undergraduate and graduate classes at the same time. So I'm working on the co-major. Right now I'm saying communication still, but I'm not sure. And then I'm minoring in digital media arts because I love that. And I want to do something ideally with the artistic side of marketing, but I don't really like the math classes that come with marketing. So I don't know what I'm doing yet, but we'll see.
No, perfect. I love it. All right, so I think we have literally just enough time for one last question. So we'll start with our youngest and then work our way to the oldest. What is your favorite Hamline moment so far? Ah, that would be a good one.
I'm glad I'm going last on this one.
Oh yeah, you have the
Okay.
longest memory.
I think I got one.
Okay.
I would have to say dance marathon. I kind of signed up for that like at the very last minute, and I joined like the admissions team for dance marathon, and it was so much fun. Dance marathon is a fundraiser for Gillette Children's Hospital, and so there's dancing, there's like team cheers, and it's just super fun. It was so much fun to just hang out with friends and hang out with like the other people who I work with. Yeah.
I can go next then, I guess.
Go for it.
For me, I guess my favorite Hamlin moment is I don't know if I can pick one moment, but like dinners with my friends. Like my friends, we would always meet up for dinner. We always ate dinner together. We'd sit there some like round table booths at Hamlin, and like every night it was like at like 5:30 exactly on the dot. We were all sitting at that like the same circle booth eating dinner together, and it was just like we had just the most fun, like laughing. We were like, I think people stared at us and were like, oh, those are a bunch of weirdos. They're so loud and annoying. But we were having a good time. Like some of my best memories happened at like those circle booths over, Anderson food. So yeah.
I could go. Like I feel like we all have similar moments that we magnify and like think are really amazing, and I'm on the same boat with both Aurora and Julie. But I think beyond academics and beyond the classes and beyond the classroom, I think some of my favorite moments were the late night chats with like Jesse and Soren, or like with some of my best friends in their dorm rooms. I think what makes college one of the most beautiful experiences of your life is that you develop very strong connections, and you can be talking about the history of the Middle East, or talking about if milk goes before cereal or the opposite. So I think it's just like these. I think the late nights every weekend, or late nights during school days, and just doing like having a midterm, but like going to Chicago with my best friend for midterm break, and it's just like these small decisions and small conversations you make every day feel special. So I think it's really hard to tap your finger on one thing, and that's gonna be my answer.
Oh yeah, it's so hard to just think of one thing. But I guess going back to my first year, a memory that I absolutely, it just makes me smile every time I think about it. So I'm hyper competitive. Like really, really hyper competitive at smaller things. I'm not an athlete, but Uno, you get me going. So it was our summer orientation, and they were giving out prizes, and so someone I knew won an Uno deck, and I was like, I'm friends with that dude. We're gonna play Uno. So it was like a group of 7 of us, and so also what a way to start making friends. It was like yelling at people about Uno cards, like you should never versed it, stuff like that. But we were sitting in Anderson. We started playing Uno at 7 p.m. right? Because that was like when like all the orientation stuff was over. And then we had to move locations because Anderson closed at midnight. I was playing Uno with these people who I'd met that same day till 4 a.m. Like we were going like hours of Uno playing in a dorm room. And so then when I went back to my room, and like the person who I was staying with temporarily was asleep. So I was like creeping in, into my dorm room to sit down after a late night of Uno. And I think it makes me smile because it's like, what a thing to bond over, and I still talk to those people. Like one of the people who I met there is my neighbor. So that's definitely a fun memory.
Yeah, I would say for me, a lot of my memories are if I'm able to, be an impact for somebody or make a difference in somebody's life. Like that's something that I typically remember, for a long time. And I would say that was kind of started, when I kind of became involved with Special Olympics on campus. And that was through our SAC organization that we have. And I took another step with that and became the Special Olympics chair member for SAC for that reason, because I feel like with Special Olympics athletes, those are people that you can really make a lifelong impact for, which is one simple thing. If you do one little thing, they'll remember it forever. And I just know, freshman year all the way up till senior year, we always do annual cornhole tournaments with them, basketball, football tournaments, but it wasn't necessarily the overall tournament that did it. It was how they reacted and how I kind of came connected with them. The hugs that you get from them are insane. Some of the best hugs that I've ever gotten, and I love to hug too, to be honest. And it just makes me feel so good. Like what I'm doing actually means something. And that's something that I know I'm going to definitely remember forever. And then also on top of that too, this past year in February, I also jumped into a frozen lake for the polar plunge that was with Special Olympics. And, being a California boy, I never thought I'd ever do anything like that. But it's just Special Olympics in general has been something that I've been a part of for so long now. And it's something that's pretty close to my heart. And it's something that you really plan on doing after I even graduate, just kind of sticking around with it. Minnesota is really great with Special Olympics, but I know every state has their own. So because of Hamline, I'm going to even stick with it after I graduate too. But yeah, really good memories with them as well.
Perfect. We literally walked right up to the line. And once again, I'd like to thank all of you for showing up. Devin, especially you, since you're graduating, you're done, you're leaving us. I still owe you some sweet food before we're done. So you'll have to come back and enjoy some cheesecake with literally your name on it.
Man, that's all I'm thinking about.
So some quick closing remarks before you guys can enjoy the rest of your evening. If you really enjoyed everything that we were doing today, if you'd like to hear some more conversations from our students, if you'd like to hear some more stuff from our professors, we are having on May 19th, we're having Professor Robin Paritz talk about the psychology program. And then on May 21st, we'll be having actually faculty come in and have a nice conversation about academic support as well as academic advising. And of course, you can always follow us on Instagram at the handle @Hamline_admissions or at HU _class of 2024. But other than that, please, everybody enjoy the rest of your night. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we will catch you next time.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.